Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Techno Talks here. So in front of us today we have two devices, both of them from Samsung, the newly released Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra and last year's flagship, and one of my personal favorite Android devices, the S24 Ultra. And in this video we're going to go ahead and put these devices head to head in a speed test to see which one prevails. So quickly going over the specs on both these devices, we do have 12 gigabytes of RAM for both the devices, and then on the S25 Ultra we do have the Snapdragon 8 Elite chipset, and on the S24 Ultra we do have the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 chipset, which is last year's flagship chipset, and honestly a great chipset which is being used in the OnePlus 13R right now. So without further ado, let's go ahead and begin. Quickly, what we're going to be doing is starting with the boot up test in 3, 2, 1. Let's go ahead and see which one boots up first. After the boot up test, we will be doing an app launching test, and then after that we will go over those apps to test the RAM management. Finally, we will go ahead and run two benchmarks, one from Geekbench 6 and one from 3D Mark. So let's see which device powers on first. And surprisingly, the S24 Ultra did power on first, and the S25 Ultra is actually taking a little while, so it's taking its time, and for some reason usually this device is super fast, but this time the S24 Ultra does take the boot up test. Now that both the devices have powered on, let's go ahead and actually begin our test. So starting off with the calculator in 3, 2, 1. That's going to be the S25 Ultra. And again, if I do mess up anything, go ahead and let me know in the comments down below. There might be some human error in this. Calendar in 3, 2, 1. It's going to be the S25 Ultra. Clock. I think that was the S25 Ultra. Camera. That's going to be the S25 Ultra, and flipping it around, that is going to be the S25 Ultra. Instagram. Let's see, they are both connected to the same Wi-Fi. That is going to be the S24 Ultra. X. Let's see, that's going to be the S25 Ultra. Groupon. S25. ESPN. See which one loads the video in first. That's going to be the S25. Amazon. Let's go and redo Amazon real quick. Amazon. I think that's the S25. eBay. That's going to be the S25. YouTube. That is going to be the S25. But again, very close results. Chipotle. That is going to be the S25. And now we can move on to our game. So starting off with Smash Road 1 to 2 in 3, 2, 1. Let's see which one loads in first. They are both in their performance mode for the gaming profile and their standard mode in the regular profile. Temple Run 2. That was the S25 for Smash Road 1 to 2. Let's go and see which one takes it. They're both loading in. That is going to be the S25. It's going to say no thanks. Go ahead and play. So both the games can start. Asphalt. Let's see which one loads in first. Very close, very close. And that is going to be the S25. So the S25 did load it in, but I think since they're both on the same account, it did try to reload it, but the S25 did load it in by a couple of milliseconds. And finally, Dead Trigger 2. Let's see which one loads in first. That is going to be the S25. And then if we do go ahead and click play, let's see. Try to click it at the same time. Very close. And again, with Dead Trigger 2, I do think after clicking play, it just matters on when you actually press it, because I believe the loading time is the same for both the devices. And as you can see, I believe this is a tie right here because I did try and get it perfect. So that is going to be a tie. All right, so now that we did launch our apps, as you saw, the S25 was faster in a lot of the apps. However, it was faster by only a little bit, and honestly, app launching isn't really too big of a deal. You're not going to be comparing these phones every day. You're not going to be launching apps like this every day, but again, people do want to see these tests, so I do conduct them. So now, going through our apps again for the RAM management, both these devices do have RAM Plus turned off, and again, they do have 12 gigabytes of RAM. Let's go ahead and see. All right, so far so good. Okay, I don't believe that was a reload. I'm not exactly sure. I think that was just refreshing the apps. All right, so far so good. Looking good. And again, both these devices are powerhouses, so I'm not really expecting any problems with it, but just to be certain, go ahead and continue. All right, still looking good. Okay, closing out of there. And finally, dead trigger 2. Both of them have kept everything open. So quickly closing out everything, go ahead and double check. Everything's closed. We can now move on to our Geekbench 6 CPU benchmark. So I'll go ahead and run the CPU benchmark. As you can see, the specs are all right there. And once we do run the benchmark, once the scores are out, we'll go ahead and take a look at those. So I'll go ahead and start this and get back to y'all. All right, so we do have some pretty interesting scores. Honestly, I'm kind of disappointed in the S25 Ultra. The performance has just been going down and down. I'm not exactly sure why. So I also did read a comment about this. One of you guys commented that they were seeing phones with 10,000 multi-scores. And yes, that is true. I've seen that on X. I've seen it from many other YouTubers where they're getting 10,000 and above for the multi-core. But for some reason with my S25 Ultra, that's not the case. I'm not exactly sure why. And if we do quickly compare it, the single core on the S24 Ultra is 2,155, which is normal for this device. And the single core on the S25 is 2,765, so not too big of a difference, only a 600 point difference. As for the multi-core, 6,931 and 7,541. And again, normal for the S24, not normal for the S25. Here are some results for the S25 around when I first got this phone a couple days back actually. Again, as you can see, 2,898, 9,232. And again, this was done in the same environment. I had done the same tests with a different device, and these are the results I got right after. Again, this isn't still the best. I should be getting above 10,000, but for some reason, these are the scores I'm getting. And especially with this one right here, I am super disappointed. I'm not sure if it's because it's warm right now. It does feel a little warm to the hand, but again, for some reason, that is what's going on. So closing this out real quick, let's go ahead and close that. We will hop into our 3D Mark, and in our 3D Mark, we will go ahead and run a wildlife extreme stress test. Once this test is over, again, just like Geekbench 6, we will go ahead and take a look at those scores. Okay, now that the tests have finished up, once again, we do have some pretty interesting scores. So starting off with the S24 Ultra, the best loop score is going to be a 4,467, and the lowest loop score is going to be a 2,477. As for the S25 Ultra, the best loop score is going to be a 5,633, so a 1,200 point difference right there. And the lowest is going to be a 2,925. So again, a 400 point difference right there. If we do go to the stability, 51.9% on the S25 Ultra and 55.4% on the S24 Ultra. So the S24 Ultra is more stable than the S25 Ultra. And if we do go down, we can see the battery, which is going to be a 96 to 87% on the S24 Ultra and 96 to 88% on the S25 Ultra. So this did lose 1% less compared to the S24 Ultra. As for the temperature, 36 to 44, 36 to 44. So we did get these same temperatures, even though the S25 Ultra is supposed to have the larger vapor chamber. The 8 Elite chipset does run hotter compared to the 8 Gen 3, so that's why they are equal. And then for the frame rate, which is really surprising, 10 to 37, and the S25 did drop to 8 frames per second, so it does have a lower frame per second. However, it did go up to 47 frames per second, so a 10 frame difference there. And again, I do want to say that these scores are actually a little low for the S25 Ultra. I've seen a lot of other tests where they get much higher on the S25 Ultra, but for some reason, this might be because of my unit, this might be because of a certain setting I have turned on. I don't know why, but my Geekbench 6 CPU benchmark scores and also my 3D Mark scores are lower than what I've been seeing and what I actually should be getting on my S25 Ultra. So for some reason, that is an issue with my S25 series right here. But again, we did conclude that test, and we can see that the S25 Ultra is faster than the S24 Ultra, which is to be expected. That is just how it should be. However, it's not a major difference where it will change a lot of things in your day-to-day usage, and so that's why I still do think that these devices are very similar. And so I do think the S24 Ultra is still a beast of a device, and honestly one of the best devices that you could probably pick up right now, especially for the lower prices that they go for at this point. But again, that will basically wrap it up for this video. As always, if you did enjoy this video, make sure to like and subscribe, and see y'all in the next one.